track light. Okay, engine stop.
We copy you down, Eagle.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
For all the people back on Earth, the crew of Apollo 8 has a message that we would like to send to you. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning was the first day.
Now here we go again. I'm struggling with my hands in the wind while I'm on my knees praying. You hear me again. If you hear me and be a friend, we'll win in the end. Ain't no way that I can lose since you carry my sin. Since you luggage my wrongs, I'm calling you Christ. The prophesied Messiah made it alright with the blood you shed when they ripped your skin. A love from beyond, so much courage within to endure the pain for the things that I did. I never understand how you did what you did, but I accept it and I'm glad. My allegiance a must, and I'm telling you personally that it's you I trust, and it's you that I believe in. Ain't no deceiving. Cover me with your blood and watch them start believing. So I'ma call you Jesus, Jesus Yahshua, the ancient of days, legend and truth. I know way too much, way too much, way too much. Shalom, Israelites. The true Israelites of the Holy Bible, the descendants of the transatlantic slave trade, you so-called black people, Negroes, etc. It's Obadiah Amos, your fellow Israelite brother, and today we're going to discuss Esau. Who is he? Who is Esau? Or the kingdom that was known in the scriptures as Edom, or in the Greek, Idumea. Nonetheless, this is Esau. Esau was the twin brother of Jacob, the son of Isaac, grandson of Abraham. And who is Esau today? There's a lot going on in the Israelite world, and a lot of people say who Esau is and who Esau isn't and such and such. But we're going to dig into the scriptures, and we're going to see exactly who the scripture makes us to know who Esau is today. All right, Israelites, we're going to start with Genesis 25. Genesis chapter 25, verses 21 through 27. Genesis 25, verses 21 through 27. And we read, verse 21, "And Isaac entreated the Most High for his wife, because she was barren. And the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord." Rebekah was pregnant, and she was wondering why there was battling in her womb. Verse 23, "And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. The one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger." So it says 2 nations, 2 entirely different nations, nationalities are in your womb, and 2 entirely different manner of people shall be separated from your bowels. So these are twin brothers, but these twin brothers become 2 distinct nations, 2 distinct nationalities. And then the elder in the end will serve the younger. Verse 24, And when her days were to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. See, she found out there were twins in her womb. That's what the battling was about. 25. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. So Isaac was 60 years old when he had Esau and Jacob. Today's matter, that's an old man. You're old enough to be the grandfather, if not nowadays a great grandfather. But these were his two sons. And the first one came out was all red. He was red. He was red. Not ruddy. He was red. I know a lot of you say, well, the Hebrew word, let's read what the scripture says. He was red all over like a hairy garment. And they called his name Esau. Then his brother came out. And he was hairy, very hairy. He was different. It's describing Esau because Esau and Jacob were different. It didn't describe Jacob. Jacob was like his parents. Okay, we keep reading. 27. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter. Esau was a hunter. Now, look at all the peoples on the earth, and let's look and see, are there any peoples that love to hunt? Not only do they love to hunt, but they are cunning and very wise at their hunting. Cunning and very wise at hunting. Very good hunters. Cunning. The word cunning means having or showing skill in achieving one's ends by deceit or evasion. Woo! Skill in achieving one's end by deceit. So Esau was a cunning, deceitful hunter. Ooh. Okay. Y'all let y'all start thinking. Y'all let y'all minds go. I'm going to let you figure this out by yourself. So this is describing the difference between Jacob and Esau when they were born. There was a difference, a nationality difference, a mentality difference, a spiritual difference. Okay, we're going to go to Joel. Joel 3, verses 16 and 19. Joel 3, verses 16 through 19. Joel 3, verses 16 through 19. And here we go. And we read verse 16 through 19. And we read verse 16. The Lord also shall roar out of Zion and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake. But the Lord will be the hope of his people and the strength of the children of Israel. Now, a lot of you may not know, a lot of you should already know this, but Jacob's name was actually changed by the Most High to Israel. So when it talks about Israel, that's talking about Jacob. When it's talking about Edom, it's talking about Esau, or Idumea is Esau, but Israel is Jacob. So the Lord shall be the hope of his people and the strength of the children of Israel, or Jacob. So shall ye know that I am the Lord your God, dwelling in Zion, my holy mountain. Then shall Jerusalem be holy, and there shall no strangers pass through her any more. No strangers pass through her any more. And it shall come to pass in that day that the mountains shall drop new wine, and the hills shall flow with milk, and all the rivers of Judah shall flow with the waters, and a fountain shall come forth of the house of the Lord, and shall water the valley of Shittim. Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness for the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. So the Most High now is talking about that he's going to be a hope of his people, Israel, or Jacob's descendants, because they are his chosen people. We've read that many times, and we'll show you those in the scriptures, in Deuteronomy and so forth, where the Most High has chosen Israel to be his special people. But he names two distinct nations that are going to be desolate for the violence against the children of Judah. Egypt shall be a desolation. And we know now, if you look over to Egypt right now, Egypt is a desert. Egypt is a desert wasteland, when Egypt in its history used to be an oasis. It used to be a land flourishing with plenty. As a matter of fact, if you remember the story of Joseph, when there was a famine in the land of Canaan, the land where Jacob and his children lived, the land that was overflowing with wealth and plentifulness was Egypt. Egypt has the longest river in the world, the Nile River, going through it. And Egypt was always a place of plentifulness. But in these scriptures, the Most High said Egypt shall be a desolation. And now we look at Egypt, it is a desolation. It is a desolation. But there's another kingdom that he said was going to be a desolation. It is the kingdom of Edom. Edom shall be a desolate wilderness. And why are both of these kingdoms going to be destroyed? For the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. See, Egypt shed innocent blood of the Israelites before Moses was used by the Most High to redeem them, to take them out of that land. There was a lot of horrendous things that the Egyptians did. If you read in some of the other books, Jubilees or Jasher, it even talks about some horrific things that they were take the babies when they ran out of brick, mortar, and they would put the babies in the walls of the buildings that they were building. They were used the babies. The sick, disgusting, wicked, evil sinisterness of those wicked Egyptians. But then we go to Edom. And the scripture says that Edom also shall do violence against the children of Judah. Now see, it was talking about, the river of Judah shall flow waters, the fountain shall come forth. So Edom also will do great violence and wickedness against the children of Judah. Now we have to look through recorded history. We know that we are the descendants of Judah. We know that for a fact. Transatlantic slave trade, we know that a lot of them went to the four corners of the earth. But who is Edom? Who is Edom? Who is Edom? Now I'll prove to you that Judah went to the four corners of the earth. Because a lot of people we're going to prove to you that we're Judah. And Judah went to the four corners of the earth. I want to go to Isaiah 11. We're going to go to Isaiah 11 real quick. And we're going to read verses 11 and verse 12. Isaiah 11, verses 11 and verse 12. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the seas. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcast of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. So right here Isaiah says that he's going to it tells you where Israel's coming from. All of these lands, Pathros, Assyria, Egypt, Cush, Elam, the islands of the sea and such. But Judah from the four corners of the earth. And how was Judah taken to the four corners of the earth? The slave trade. We know this. We know this. We've discussed this. We've got lessons on it. Check them out. So Judah was dispersed to the four corners of the earth through the slave trade. Deuteronomy 28:68. Through those ships on bondage. House of bondage. But right here in Amos 19, it says, Edom shall be a desolate wilderness for the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. So Egypt is already a desolation. And Edom, or Esau's land, shall be a desolate wilderness for the violence against the children of Judah. Go through history and find out who had a horrific historical reign of violence. Besides Egypt, who had a horrific reign of violence against us. A horrific reign of violence of biblical proportions against us. The scripture says this is Esau who did this to us. Read it for yourself. Read it for yourself. Okay, now we're going to go to Amos. Amos 1, 9 through 11. Amos 1, 9 through 11. It's real close. It's just a page away. And we read Amos 9. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Tyrus, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they delivered up the whole captivity to Edom. They delivered up the entire captivity of Israel to Edom, and remembered not the brotherly covenant. Oh, what brotherly covenant? Because Edom and Jacob, or Esau and Jacob, Edom and Israel are brothers. Read that again. And remembered not the brotherly covenant. Verse 10. But I will send a fire on the wall of Tyrus, which shall devour the places thereof. Thus said the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all pity. That means Esau had no pity on his brother Jacob. Esau was not supposed to get involved with the torture of his brother. They had a brotherly covenant. They are brothers. Even though they're separate nations, even though they're separate nationalities. But Esau's ancestors, just like Esau's descendants, not ancestors. Esau's descendants, just like he, had a grudge against his brother. He despised his birthright because he gave it to his brother. So he hated it, and he hated his brother for it. And it goes in the blood. And it never went away. And it's still here to this day. Esau still claiming to be the chosen people when they know they ain't. Let's read this again. Verse 11. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof. The Most High is coming to punish Esau. Ain't no turning it away, Esau, because you know what you did. And you know what you did was wrong. You went way too far. You wasn't supposed to be involved anyway, but you went way too far. Because he did pursue his brother with the sword. He went to kill his brother with the sword, armies. And did cast off all pity. That means you showed him no mercy, Esau. And you still show your brother no mercy till this day. The day of reckoning is coming from the Most High. Not us. We don't have an ounce of power in our hands. But the Most High get the last say so. And his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. His anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. Esau has so much hatred and disdainment for us, Jacob. Y'all keep wondering. Y'all put the clues together, and y'all come to a conclusion on who you think Esau is, according to what these scriptures say. Let's go to Amos 9, verses 10 through 15. Amos 9, verses 10 through 15. And we read, verse 10. All the sinners of my people shall die by the sword, which say, the evil shall not overtake nor prevent us. So all of us that say the evil is not going to happen, if the Most High has proclaimed something is going to happen to us, it's going to happen. Because his will be done. Because of our disobedience. Verse 11. In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof. And I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old, that they may possess the remnant of Edom. Oh, what? Most High says he's going to build up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close the breaches, and raise up the ruins, and build it as in the days of old, that they may possess the remnant of Edom, and of all the heathen which are called by my name. No, and of all the heathen which are called by my name, said the Lord that doeth this. Behold, the days come, said the Lord, that the plowman shall overtake the reaper, and the treader of grapes him that soweth seed. And the mountains shall drop sweet wine, and all the hills shall melt. And I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel, and they shall build the waste cities, and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards, and drink the wine thereof. They shall also make gardens, and eat the fruit of them, and I will plant them upon their land, and they shall no more be pulled up out of their land, which I have given them, said the Lord thy God. So the Most High lets them know that Jacob is going to possess the remnant of Edom that is oppressing him. And the other nations, all the other heathen. But it names Edom in particular because Edom is Jacob's worst enemy. Even though they're brothers. Even though they are brothers. And he's going to bring again the captivity of his people. And they shall build the waste cities. They will never be plucked out again. They're going to possess the remnant of Edom. Now this is important, because I want you to see that he says they're going to possess the remnant of Edom. And we're going to prove to you that Edom is the ones that had Jacob in possession again. Just like we read in the last scripture. The whole captivity. Edom took them. And we're going to find out. He said they're going to possess the remnant of Edom. Who is Jacob going to possess? Isaiah 14. I'm going to read 1 through 3. Isaiah 14, verses 1 through Isaiah 14, 1 through 3. Ready? And we read, "For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob." The strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. "And the people shall take them, and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord." Here we go. The house of Israel will possess them. It's talking about the ones that Israel is going to possess. Just as we just read right here. Who did it say? Verse 12 in Amos. Amos 9:12 said that they may possess the remnant of Edom and of all the heathen. So Edom is number one. Number one. It named them particularly. Now we read back here in Isaiah 14 verse 2. It said, "The house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were. And they shall rule over their oppressors." It's letting you know that the house of Israel was taken captive by Edom. And now they're going to take Edom captive. Who had us in captivity? Let's keep reading. "And they shall rule over their oppressors." Who oppressed us in the New World? From Brazil to America to Europe to the islands, the Gulf Islands and the Atlantic Islands. And then the other heathen too. We can't forget them. He said the remnant of the other heathen. We know about the sub-Saharan slave trade and how we were carried all over the globe. But in particular, it's made to Edom. It calls Edom out by name. It said that they shall rule over their oppressors. Verse 3, "And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve." Bondage means slavery. Bondage means slavery. And who had us in the greatest, most horrific slavery known in the history of the world? By way of ships, the transatlantic slave trade. Who can this be? Edom, Esau, red, hairy, cunning hunter,